Greetings, fellow Hess toy truck collectors. My name is Pixar Prime 10, and today I am extremely excited to be bringing you my review of the 2020 Hess Ambulance and Rescue Toy Truck. As a lifelong Hess truck fan, there are a few trucks that I have had a list of that I have been wanting them to make for a very long time. Two of those trucks were a tow truck, which we got last year in 2019, and an ambulance, which we have finally gotten this year in 2020. Now, to my knowledge, this is the earliest that Hess has ever released the toy truck. It was revealed on October 22nd or 23rd and was up for sale on the same day, and here we are, already I have it in my hands. As you can see, the box art follows the trend that Hess has been going with since I think about 2015, of just having a crisp illustration of the truck on the side on a green background. And yes, I am going to say it because it's still true, I very much miss the Starry Night gas station background packaging. If we flip over the box to the top, we see that we have the Hess logo as well as a big, bold ambulance and rescue title. And of course, along the bottom, you have some of the features of the truck. Flip the box around on the other side and you have the same illustration of the truck. And on the bottom, just like usual, we have some illustrations of the features of the truck with some little blurbs explaining what it does. You got information about batteries. And something that's new this year is it says, "Keep on trucking," which is actually very interesting. If I'm not mistaken, I think I said that in one of my recent Hess truck videos before they ever had it on any of their packaging. So I think Hess stole that saying from me. As expected, on the front of the box, you have the front of the truck. And on the back of the box, we have the back of the truck. But a box is not what you guys came to see today. You came to see the toy truck itself. So why don't we open up this box, get the rescue vehicle out, and have a closer look. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the 2020 Hess Truck. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. For a good number of years, I genuinely was a little disappointed in Hess's releases. From 2013 to 2016, I was honestly just pretty bored. Yeah, in 2014, we had the 50th Anniversary Collector's Edition truck, which, trust me, was awesome. But that wasn't the main truck that year. But in 2017, 18, 19, and now 20, Hess has absolutely redeemed themselves, at least in my opinion. This thing is absolutely beautiful, and there is no argument about that. What I am extremely impressed with is the fact that it looks like an actual ambulance, but still keeps the Hess truck theme. The second I saw pictures of the truck, my immediate reaction was how much I loved the red. Now, don't get me wrong, we've had Hess trucks in the past that have broken the normal green and white color scheme, namely the Hess trucks in 2005 and 2015. But we've really never seen something quite like this where the base color is still white, but its accent color is red. Usually the base color is white and the accent color is green. And it is such a nice, refreshing change from anything that we've seen in a Hess truck design before. The red really is just absolutely striking on this thing. And again, makes sense. And the only green that you'll find anywhere on this truck is the Hess logos, which of course there are plenty of. Now, I can't remember if it was in the comments of my reaction video or if it was on one of Hess's Facebook posts that I saw, but I saw somebody's reaction to this truck and they said something along the lines of, "I wish the truck still looked realistic and didn't have a cartoony toy look to them." Now, I totally get what they mean by that. The trucks used to have a more realistic feel. They weren't as big and blocky, but realism is something that the Hess trucks have never really had. I mean, if you think about it, if a normal-sized human fits in this truck, then how does a normal-sized human fit in this truck? And we've really been seeing this style of truck since about 2008 when they started getting a little bit bigger and a little bit bulkier. So if you think about it, it's been over 10 years since this style was introduced. Now, speaking of looking good with other Hess trucks, this truck finally completes what I would consider the rescue team of Hess trucks. Now, an ambulance is basically the epitome of the rescue vehicle, but we've really been missing this guy for years, considering that we've gotten a very large amount of fire trucks, and not to mention the fact that back in 1993, we got a police car. Now, like I said, realism is something that has never really stuck with the Hess trucks, considering the fact that a car compared to an ambulance and a fire truck should not be this big. But if I haven't made it very clear already, I love the design of this truck. It's bold and it looks brave and confident, just like medical workers are. And speaking of medical workers, I would really like to take this time to thank all of our extremely brave and heroic healthcare workers that have been fighting the coronavirus pandemic all year. Now, obviously, this truck keeps in line with Hess traditions, such as Hess logos all around and chrome details. For the Hess logos, of course, we have a big one right on the front of the truck, which is kind of just tradition at this point. You have a Hess logo here on the hood, which is also a little engine exhaust. You have Hess logos on the side of the doors. You have a Hess logo right here on the side of the ambulance. And my favorite one, which is this big Hess logo across the top of the truck. And on the back of the truck, you have 2 Hess logos on the doors, and it says Hess 2020 on the license plate. That's not it, however. The tires say Hess all around, and you have the H on the hubcap. Hess is embossed on the metal containers at the bottom of the truck here, there, and there. One of my favorite details on the truck is that on the emergency light bar, it doesn't say Hess, but you have an H on either side of it. A really nice detail. Along the side of the truck here, you have a bunch of molded in detail, such as plates and caps and doors that I'm sure hold medical equipment. Of course, in chrome, you have the rear view mirrors and the smokestacks, as well as some little side vent ports. They almost kind of look like wings to me, and if you think about it, what does an ambulance do? It's always on the race to the rescue. And these chrome wings kind of give it this chariot type feel, which I think is fitting for an ambulance. Zooming in on the windshield here, you can see that in the black window we have molded in windshield wipers, which is pretty usual, but a detail that I really like that they included is the fact that it says ambulance across the top of the windshield, and that is a true-to-life detail that you'll see on all ambulances. However, if I am going to nitpick a little bit, this should actually be backwards. Yeah, if you guys ever see an ambulance in real life, the word ambulance on the truck is actually reversed so that when you look at it in your rearview mirror in your car, you can read it. So it would actually make it more true to life if this was reversed. Coming up on the side of the truck here, right here on this molded in detail, which looks like little doors, you have 2 medical logos, which are such a nice touch. And of course, on top of the window where we can see the miniature vehicle inside, it also says ambulance. Those same medical logos are embossed on the back doors of the truck here, which makes me super happy. Extra molded in detail like that is things that I look for on these trucks. Looking at the back of the truck, it does look a little bland. I think it actually would have been really dope if a chrome wrap came around this square here. But of course, you have the nice red pinstripe that carries around the back of the truck, which I think looks great. Now, other than lights and sounds, which we'll get into later, this truck only really has one feature, and that is letting the extra vehicle out. Now, I actually have a big gripe with the way that you get the secondary vehicle out, and you might be confused because it's really nothing special, but, well, that's just it. As you can see, there's 2 molded in doors here, like a real ambulance would have, but that's not how you open it. The whole thing kind of just comes down like a door by pushing the button on top. It pops down, and then you can roll, well, you could roll if it didn't have a wind-up feature. You can roll the secondary vehicle out, and then it's ready to go to the rescue. Now, the reason I don't like this is because if you're going to put 2 molded in doors there, why not go through the effort of making them both open individually? Some of you may remember that on the 2003 Hess truck, it had doors just like this, and they both opened individually, and then a ramp slid out for the cars that were inside. So if they could do it back then, why not now? It's just that this truck is such a home run, and that really would have been an awesome thing to have. Now, speaking of the secondary vehicle, here it is out of the ambulance itself, and I gotta be honest, I really don't have much to say on this little guy. Sometimes the secondary vehicles go one of 2 ways. Sometimes they're really just smaller versions of the bigger truck that it comes with, such as the 2019 tow trucks. But sometimes they differentiate a little bit from what the big truck is, but keeping the same style. Such as how this guy is also a rescue vehicle, but is not exactly an ambulance. But I don't know, there's nothing particularly interesting about this one for me. It really honestly reminds me of the miniature truck that came with the 2005 fire truck. But when you think emergency and you think rescue and you think, I don't know, racing to the rescue, I just don't really think pickup truck. And to be totally honest, the only reason I'm not being more critical on this secondary vehicle is because I truthfully can't think of anything better that they could have included with it. I just don't really know that I like the way they look together or really work together. But again, I can't think of anything else that they should have included. If you guys have any ideas, drop them down in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. But just like his big brother, this vehicle is not lacking in details. You have chrome, of course, on the front grille, on this little exhaust thing up here. On the hood, you got the light bar wrap is in chrome. You got little bars on the side here and the smokestacks. It looks good, don't get me wrong. I just am not particularly fond of whatever this vehicle is supposed to be. One thing that I really do like, though, is the hubcaps. That is a super awesome design, and it looks really cool when you spin them. Of course, it says Hess on the tires, and you got a Hess logo there, 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 and there. Oh, and back there. And of course on the back it says Hess 2020. But it does actually have a feature though, which is pretty cool. If you come around back, the tailgate to the bed of the truck actually does open. And it's very difficult to open and close. You have to really pull on it very hard, and then that results in this happening. And let me tell you something, this is a kid's toy, and they're going to be very rough with it, and I already see a bunch of kids who will just completely lose that piece altogether. But if you do break it off, it just snaps right back in, and then you can close up the bed. Just like a plethora of secondary vehicles in Hess history, if you pull back this truck, it'll drive away. Now, on top of having that pullback feature, the truck is actually supposed to be able to pop a wheelie, which, first of all, doesn't make sense to me for a rescue vehicle. It makes sense for a race car or a motorcycle, but I can't get it to do it. On the bottom of the box, it says you pull back the truck, you tilt it up, and you let it go. But as soon as I let it go, it just falls. Doesn't matter how much I wind it up or how much I tilt it back, the weight of the truck just lets it fall. It's not like I'm particularly upset because, first of all, I won't be playing with this. Second of all, I don't really care that my rescue vehicle can't pop a wheelie. And the way they describe it, it makes it sound like the truck should stay up the whole time, but I can't get it to. And again, not that I care that it can't do wheelies, because it's not a feature I particularly cared about, but if they're going to say that it can do it, you know, it should be able to do it. Now, if any of you are longtime watchers of my Hess Truck reviews, you'll know what my favorite feature is on every single Hess Truck. That's right, the lights. And I gotta tell you, after the disappointment that was the fact that the 2018 truck had no sounds, I am so incredibly happy with the way the lights and sounds were handled on this truck. First of all, if you flip the truck up on top, as per what we're used to, you have 4 buttons on top of the truck here. Now, this is usual, it's normal, it's what I'm expecting. Buttons do give the truck a bit more of a toy look, and I would actually like to see them start incorporating the sound buttons into, I don't know, the sirens or something so that they're actually more hidden, but that's more of a nitpick than anything. If you press the first button, you get your first siren sound effect. If you press the second button, you get your second siren sound effect. If you press the third button, you get your third siren sound effect. For what we're used to, the fourth button should actually just make the lights flash with no sounds. But by pressing the fourth one, we actually get a fourth siren sound effect. Now, when I read that the truck had 4 different siren sound effects, I was like, how do you come up with 4 different siren sound effects? But each one of these sounds like a unique siren that I've heard in real life before. Now, as much as I enjoy the fact that there are 4 different sirens on here, I think I would have preferred to either have more unique sound effects, like a backup beeping alarm or even an engine starting, because those always added a sense of realism to the trucks that I really liked. But instead, all we have is 4 sirens. But why is there a reason we have to be limited to 4 sound effects? I actually see no reason why we couldn't have had all of these sirens, as well as an engine starting, a horn blaring, or a backup beep. Now, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but something that is incredibly cool about those 4 sirens is each one of them has its own different light pattern. But when we do that first siren sound effect, you have your very classic, usual, what we're used to, Hess flashers, and well, it looks like an ambulance. When you do the second sound effect, I really love this one. You can see the lights rotating from the front of the truck to the back of the truck. So they kind of go in a set. It starts in the front, goes to the middle, and then goes to the back, and you can see it moving down the back of the truck, which I really, really enjoy. The third siren is just all of the lights on the truck coming on and off, and then the fourth one is that same pattern, but faster, which indicates a bigger sense of emergency. And each one of these light patterns beautifully matches the rate and style that the sound effects had. Now, one thing that actually does make me kind of upset is the fact that the sound effects don't really last for very long. Each sound effect really only lasts for about 10 seconds. And I was actually pretty surprised to see that because, well, usually on a Hess truck, they last for a very long time, usually until you press the button to get them to stop. And I specifically remember as a kid enjoying the fact that I could put the sounds on and move the truck around for a while without having to worry about the sounds turning off. Now, of course, as you've been seeing, this truck has some beautiful lights on it. In fact, it has nearly 100, which Hess has been boasting about ever since they released this. And if you flip the truck over and look at the bottom, this switch is actually very unique. Now, I might be wrong, but I do believe this is the first time we've ever seen something like this. You have 3 settings on the switch. Of course, you have off to turn the lights off, you have on, which turns the lights on, but you actually have mute. Now, usually it goes off on flashers, which gives you the ability to put the truck lights on or to have the flashers on. But because this truck has 4 different patterns of flashers, they wanted you to have the ability to be able to turn all of those on without the sound effects, which is why you have this mute option. And when you have the truck on mute, you're able to press those siren buttons and get every pattern of the flashers without the sound effects, which I think is incredibly smart. But of course, if you come back and flip the switch to on, you get the Hess truck with its lights on in all of its glory. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have the 2020 Hess truck with its beautiful lights on and in full display. Now, let me tell you something. These things are bright. Of course, you have the headlights lit up here with the Hess logo on the hood and the front. Of course, the sides of the doors, the Hess logo on the side there. The inside of the truck is lit up for when the miniature vehicle is in there. You got the light bar on top. The Hess logo on top is not lit, but you can see it just because of everything else that's going on inside there. On the back of the truck, the Hess 2020 logo is lit up with the taillights. As much as I really like the lights on the truck and it absolutely looks like something that you would see on a real life ambulance, I would have actually preferred it if the light bar on top had some blue lights in it as well as red. Most emergency vehicles that you see in real life have blue and red lights on them. Now, I would want this more, but it would actually disrupt the red and white color scheme of the truck. So for that reason, I'm okay with there not being any blue lights on top of the truck. Now, of course, as expected, the miniature truck has lights as well. Not nearly as many, but of course you have some super bright headlights there with the Hess logo on the front. This little exhaust port on the front of the truck's hood actually lights up, which doesn't really make sense because it seems like an engine part to me, but it looks really cool. I dig it. You have a Hess logo on the side there, the light bar on top, and then of course you have the license plate at the bottom there that says Hess 2020, which of course lights up some of the interior of the bed, which just looks cool in general. In terms of the lights themselves, this really isn't anything special in terms of anything we've seen in the past. Everything is on, everything is lit, and it looks great. It looks absolutely beautiful. It just doesn't do anything special. Now, as if I didn't like the look of this truck enough before, the lights are, of course, just the cherry on top. Now, aside from those few minor nitpicks that I had about the truck, there's really not much that I don't like about this thing. Everything about its shape, its color scheme, and the way the lights and sounds were integrated into it. Now, as much as I absolutely love this truck, and there's not a world where I wouldn't continue to buy the Hess trucks, there is a bigger problem that I have with it, and it's the price. This truck clocks in at $36 US, and when you add tax and possibly shipping, that basically is getting you to $40+. The question of, is it worth it, is up to you. For me, the answer is absolutely, because not only do I love this specific truck, but of course I'm a collector and I'll always buy the Hess truck. And listen, $40 is not totally ridiculous, especially today for a toy. That's just the way it works. But when I was a kid, these trucks were around $22, $23, and now they're up to $40 and not much has changed. Sure, the quality of the lights has gotten better and the sounds are more crisp and clear, but in terms of what the trucks actually do, not much has changed. So if that price is going to continue going up in the years to come, which by trend it probably will, then it might be beneficial to Hess to start thinking of new ways to make the trucks more exciting with more features. And if it isn't inherently obvious at this point, I highly recommend the 2020 Hess Toy Truck. This is a very welcome addition to my Hess Toy Truck collection. What are your guys' thoughts on the 2020 Hess Truck? I would love to hear what you think down in the comments below, or you can message me on any of my social media, which will also be down in the video description. But alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this review. I cannot wait to see you again soon. And until next time, happy holidays from Pixar Prime 10.